Testing audio, testing movement. One more check. Okay, seems like we're good. Sorry about that. Had some technical issues, but they've been resolved now, so ready to go. Well, everyone, this is Gundam Ace, aka John Hooper, and I'm here with my streaming of Rebellion, Secret Game, second stage. When we last left off, there was a lot of chaos going down between the players. Now the second stage has started, with Shuhei determined to eliminate all the prime numbered players using Hitomi and to get his revenge on Kurokawa. Meanwhile, Hatsune ended up leaving with Rei and Tsukasa due to her clear condition having changed as well, and Mariko and Yui were attacked by a mysterious assailant. Also, Kurokawa and Mitsuru were discussing things about theirs, while Mitsuru decided to leave to go get some more teammates, and Shuhei briefly ran into Daisuke, who's just going off doing his own thing on hiding from other players due to his clear condition, not allowing him to get near to others. But yeah, now we're ready to continue from there, so without further ado, let's get started. Mitsuru Shirosaki was panicking. He managed to hold himself together as he made a suggestion to Kurokawa and left to find allies. But once he started running, he found himself without any sign or clue of what to do next. He blindly ran around the field, unable to find a solution to his problems. Mitsuru tripped on a tree root and slammed into the mud. As he lay on the ground, he kicked the earth in frustration and pounded it with his fist as he panted wildly. God damn it! Making a fool out of me? He couldn't tell if his words were directed at the tree root, Kurokawa, or even the game's organizers. This isn't the time for this. Mitsuru panted as he took out his PD and looked at the screen. His PDA had no player number. It was of a clearly different nature than all the others, the Joker. Its special function was copy a PDA within 10 meters. Your game settings and special function will change to that PDAs. And Mitsuru's clear condition had been the same as whatever PDA he copied. Meaning normally, one would consider copying as many PDAs as possible and determining the easiest clear condition to be an effective strategy with that function. So Mitsuru had done exactly that, working to fulfill a clear condition faster than anyone else. But when the second stage came about, it all come backfiring on him big time. This isn't fair. Why did it turn out this way? Death of the owners of all the PDAs you copied. That was Mitsuru's second stage clear condition. Which is why he'd run away from Kurokawa as soon as he could. Mitsuru had copied 6 PDAs so far. And naturally, one of those had been Kurokawa's. If Kurokawa ever found out, he'd kill Mitsuru without a second thought. Damn it! Damn it! No, I don't want to die. I don't want to die yet. His sanity felt like it was hanging on a steep cliff, but even so, he racked his brain for a way to win the game. He knew he needed to find compatible allies if he wanted any hope at fulfilling his condition. In other words, players who he hadn't copied and didn't have conditions that required hurting him. Is there anyone? Is there anyone they can team up with? I have to find someone I can team up with, or else. Mitsuru chewed his dirty fingernails as he got up slowly. His sunken eyes filled with a dark light as he briskly made his way through the woods in search of new companions. Sorry, 1 second. I need to check something. Okay, that's fine. I'm back now. On the way, he found a small girl. Huh? He stared down with his eyes. The one standing before him was a face he'd seen many times on TV.
Hatsune-chan? 君は安藤Hatsune-chanじゃないか?
You're Hatsune Ando, right? Hatsune twitched when Mitsuru instinctively raised his voice. You know me?
知ってるも何も.
How could I not?
ほら、公式ファンクラブの会員ナンバー38番の.
I'm member 38 of your official fan club. Huh?
いや、そんなことより.
No, wait, sorry. First things first.
初音ちゃん一人? 今までずっと一人だったの?
Are you alone? Have you been alone this whole time? Yeah, I've been alone and scared this whole time. Hatsune breathed a sigh as she walked towards Mitsuru. Maybe she was relieved to have met someone who knew her. That was enough for Mitsuru to drop his guard. And his heart swelled with a sense of duty as a fan.
初音ちゃんは今置かれてる状況はわかる。みんなの条件が書き換わって殺し合いが始まってるんだよ。
Do you understand the situation we're in now? Everyone's conditions have been rewritten, and they're going to start killing each other. I know that. I have no weapons, so I've just been running around.
そうか。そうだったんだ。
I see. So that's it. It was true. Hatsune had her PDA, but no weapons. The way she stood there, so frail, was like a wounded puppy.
わかった。わかったよ、初音ちゃん。じゃあ、ここからは僕が君を守るよ。
Don't worry. I understand, Hatsune. Then I'll protect you. Huh?
本当に守ってくれるですか?
You really mean that? what about weapons?
いや銃は持ってるんだけど今は弾切れで
Oh, I've got a gun, but I'm out of bullets.
でもすぐに違う武器を見つけるよとにかく安全な場所に移動しようついてきて初音ちゃん
I'll find another one soon enough. Anyway, let's get somewhere safe. Follow me, Hatsune. Mitsuru tried to take off. Hatsune followed him, still holding her PDA. As she walked a short distance behind Mitsuru, Hatsune spoke up.
武器がないのは残念です。先に中になると思ったんですが。
But it really is a shame you don't have a weapon. And here I thought I could kill two birds with one stone.
え何が一石二鳥
Huh? What do you mean by that?
あなたの武器と特殊機能とその2つのことですよ。
I meant your weapon, your special function. Right as Hatsune said that, a strange noise came from Mitsuru's neck.
何の音
What's that sound?
さあ、何の音でしょう。
What sound indeed? Mitsuru reached for his neck. A red light was shining against his hand. He couldn't see it for himself, but it appeared his collar was flashing.
初音ちゃんちょっと僕の首輪見て光ってない
Hatsune, can you take a look and tell me if my collar is flashing?
光ってますね。どうしてでしょう。
Oh, it is. I wonder why.
なんで光るんだこんなこと今まで一度もなかったのに
Why is it flashing? It hasn't done that once up until now.
初音にはよくわからないんですけど。
I don't really know. Hatsune lowered her head in thought and looked straight up at Mitsuru.
多分初音が特殊機能を使ってあなたの首輪を爆破しようとしたからじゃないでしょうか。
Probably because I used my special function to say your collar to detonate? Maybe that's why? What? Mitsuru stared at Hatsune in utter disbelief. A callous expression like one he'd never seen her show before on TV was staring right back into him.
初音ちゃん首輪を爆破って
Hatsune, what do you mean you set my collar to... But before Mitsuru could finish his question, a shock burst at his throat, staining his line of sight red. By the time he realized the blood gushed out of his own carotid arteries, his vision was swiftly going dark. Hatsune, what are you?
ごめんなさい。初音はもうあなたの仕事でアイドルの初音ではないのです。
Sorry, but I'm no longer the idol you once knew. No. Why? Mitsuru had been a fan of Hatsune since middle school. But as he stared at her completely changed face and struggled to comprehend what could have changed her, Mitsuru Shirasaki's consciousness was forever buried in darkness.
心配だな。
I'm worried. Tsukasa Mitsubayashi sat in a chair by the window, looking up to the sky as he muttered those words to himself. Just then, Rei, who finished lunch and was about to go on watch, turned back towards him.
何が心配なのです？
Worried about what?
ああ、いや、
Oh, well,
僕が部屋で育てているシクラメンの植木のことだよ。
I was thinking about the potted cyclamen I was growing in my room.
花って
Is that a flower?
もう4日間も水をやっていないからしおれてないといいんだけどね。
Yes. I haven't watered in 4 days, so I hope it hasn't withered away by now.
司らしからの発言ですね。
I never thought I'd hear something like that from you.
そうかい。
Really?
あなたのような薄情な男に花をめでる心があったとは意外です。
I'm surprised a heartless man like yourself loves flowers.
相変わらず物言いが失礼だね、君は。
And I see your comments are as rude as always.
花はいいよ。人間と違って余計なことは言わないからね。
I like flowers. They don't bother you with trifling chatter the way people do.
こまめに世話をしてあげれば毎年必ず花を咲かせてくれるし。
Take care of them frequently, and they'll bloom for you every year.
機嫌が悪くなったからといって勝手にいなくなってしまうこともない。
They never get into foul moods, nor do they just up and leave you one day.
欲深くて意地汚い人間に比べれば知性を持たない彼らの方がずっと崇高な生物に見えるよ。
They possess no intelligence, but are far more sublime compared to greedy humans.
司は人間が嫌いなのですか？
Do you hate people?
好きか嫌いかなんて関係ないさ。僕にとって他の人間は利用できるか否か、それだけだよ。
It's not a matter of love or hate. All that matters to me is if I can use others or not.
その考え方は少し寂しいですね。
That sounds like a lonely mindset.
やめよう、こんな話は。
Let's stop talking about this.
まずはここから生きて帰ることを考えなくちゃ。
First things first, we have to come up with a way to make it through this.
でないと大切な花に水もやれないからね。
Otherwise, I won't be able to give my dear flowers some water.
そうですね。
You're right. Ray then turned back to, wait, hold on. Ray nodded, looking to change the mood. Shin turned to Skasa.
ちょうどいい。司に聞きたいことがありました。
The timing couldn't be more perfect. I want to ask you something.
なんだい？
What is it?
司、私たちはいつまでここに留まっているつもりですか？
Skasa, how long do you plan for us to stay here?
っていうと？
What do you mean?
セカンドステージになったというのに、ここでぼーっとしていていいのですか？
I mean, should we really be sitting around now the second stage has begun?
だって動く意味がないでしょ。
What purpose would there be in moving?
説明を要求します。
I demand an explanation.
はいはい、わかったわかった。
Okay, okay, fine. Skasa gave the restless Ray a wry smile and got up from his chair.
このゲームはね、多くの人間が生還できるようにはなっていないんだよ。
Not a lot of people will be able to survive this game.
クリア条件を見れば生還できる人間の数は想像がつくだろ。
You can imagine how many will after seeing our clear conditions, right?
例えば僕のクリア条件を満たしたプレイヤーが3人未満って条件。
Like mine, which calls for 3 or less people to fulfill their clear conditions.
僕が生きて帰ろうとした時点で生き残りは3人以下だ。
If I try to survive, then only 3 or less others can live.
確かにその通りですね。
Well, yes, that's true.
僕だけがこんなにきつい条件とは思えないし、放っておいても他のプレイヤーたちは殺し合いを始めるよ。
I doubt I'm the only one with such a harsh condition, and if we leave them alone, the other players will start killing each other.
そんな修羅場にあえて乗り込んでいく必要はない。
There is no need for us to participate in that bloodbath.
ギリギリまで時間を稼いで人数が絞られた段階で攻勢をかけた方が賢明だよ。
It would be wiser to bide time until the bitter end, and go on the offensive once you confirm how many others are left.
とまあそういう理由で動かずにいたんだけど、納得してもらえた？
And well, there you have it. That's why we're not moving. Do you accept that?
納得しました。一応は。
Yes, for now.
一応？
What do you mean by that?
私は敵討ちのためにここに来ました。
I came here to get revenge.
前にも一度言ったけど、その目的はしばらく保留にしたら。
Like I said before, you should put that aside for a while.
ええ、司の考えに反論しているわけではありません。
Yes, I'm not opposed to your idea.
しかし、弟の敵がすぐ近くにいるこの状況で、指をくわえて見ていることしかできない自分がもどかしい。
But with my brother's killer so close, a part of me is stewing with frustration. All we can do is sit back and watch.
無念でなりません。
Much to my chagrin.
そう
I see.
僕はね、特別に誰かのことを好きになったり、逆に殺してやりたいほど憎んだりした経験がないんだ。
You know, Ray, I don't know what it's like to really love someone, or to hate someone so much that I want to kill them.
弟さんの仇を自分の手で撃ちたいっていう君の感情も理屈としては理解できるけど、
I can understand the theory behind why you'd want to kill your brother's murderer with your own hands.
そんなことをしたって根本的な解決にはならないし、むしろ虚しさが増すだけだと思うよ。
But even if you do, don't you think that rather than the root of your pain going away, you only feel more empty inside?
そうなのかもしれません。
Perhaps you're right.
ですがそれと同じことをあの人にも言えますか？
But couldn't you say the same about him as well? Gus instantly understood who Ray was referring to. However, he couldn't think of a comeback. It was likely that no one could stop Shuhei's sorrow and rage at losing Kotomi. And no one's words would reach him. With the loss of a teammate, the bound cabin felt strangely bigger than it did before. An awkward silence filled the room. Uncomfortable with that atmosphere, Ray spoke up.
致し方ありません。しばらくはここで機会を待つことにします。
No two ways about it then. I'll stay here for a while and await my chance.
それに私がいないと司も心細いでしょうしね。
Besides, you'd get lonely if I weren't here, wouldn't you?
いやいや、僕は別に君がいなくなっても寂しくなんかないよ。
Oh, no, no, no. I highly doubt that.
昨夜寝言で私の名前を呼んでいました。
You called my name in your sleep last night.
君さ、いつも必ず僕より先に眠ってるよね。
You do realize that you always go to sleep before me, right?
起きてました実は。
Actually, I was awake.
いや、よだれ垂らして寝てたし。
No, you were drooling in your sleep.
嘘です。よだれなんて垂らしてませんから。
You lie. I did not drool.
そもそも司はなんで私の寝姿を知っているんですか？
Besides, why were you watching me sleep to begin with?
前々から怪しいとは思っていましたが、とうとう尻尾を出しましたね。
I've had my suspicions about you for a while, but it seems you've finally shown your true colors, eh?
この変態！
You lecherous fiend.
いや、君の貧相な体に興味なんてないし。
No, I have no interest in the body as gaunt as yours.
な、
What?
寝顔を見られるのが嫌なら起こされる前に起きようよ。寝起き悪すぎなんだよ、レイは。
If you don't want me to see your face while you sleep, then wake up before I wake you. You're not a morning person.
熟睡することはいいことですよ。寝る子は育つんです。
There's nothing wrong with sleeping in. A well-slept child is a well-grown child.
育つ？
Well-grown?
何か？
What was that?
ああ、いや、僕が悪かったよ。
Wait, no. I'm sorry.
つーかーさー。
Second. Okay. Yuna Toto fought back the sinking feeling in her stomach and walked down the mountain trail.
ゆい、どこにいるの？
Yui, where are you? Yuna's thoughts unconsciously poured forth. The reason she didn't call for Mariko wasn't because she thought Mariko was now an enemy. It was because just a short while ago, she'd found Mariko's body in the forest. Yuna still didn't know why Mariko and Yui had left her. Perhaps they'd become enemies once their conditions changed. Regardless, Yuna's still worried from them from the bottom of her heart. And when she found Mariko's corpse, her concern deepened, verging on the point of fear. Fear that Yui had already been killed by someone.
お願い生きていて
Please be alive! Yuna hurried down the trail, muttering that over and over again. Before long... Wait, hold on a second. Okay, she found the hut at the side of the trail. Yuna got a very bad feeling when she saw it. For the wind carried on a scent akin to rusted iron. Yuna ran over to the hut and timidly opened the door. And in the darkened room, Yuna found that which she had been least hoping to see.
ユイ
That name vaguely echoed through the room, reeking of dust and blood. Naturally, there was no response. Yuna covered her mouth at the tragedy before her. Yui's life had been claimed by a gunshot wound to the abdomen. Her uniform was burst open, riddled with holes. It had probably been the work of a shotgun, the same weapon that had killed Mariko. But those weren't Yui's only wounds. There were traces of thorough violence all over her body.
どうして
How?
どうしてこんなひどい
How could they have been so cruel?
ユイ私がもっと早く見つけてあげられれば
If only I'd found you sooner.
私がちゃんと守ってあげられれば
If only I'd protected you like I said.
ごめんねユイ本当にごめん
I'm sorry, Yui. I'm so sorry.
私じゃあなたを守ってあげられなかった
I failed you when you needed me the most.
ごめんね
I'm so sorry.
ごめん
I'm sorry. No matter how tightly Yuna held her, she couldn't feel any warmth from Yui's body. She'd never hear that sharp tongue of hers again, nor see that beaming smile of hers. Yuna wept in that hut stained in the colors of the dying sun. Okay, 1 second. Alright, there we go. The situation had clearly changed. Even Akinori Majima, who had been traveling on his own the whole time without ever meeting anyone, could tell that. Just when he thought he found the cube, it turned out that someone else had already opened it. This was the 3rd time in a row.
これもセカンドステージとやらに移行したせいなのか。
Is this also because of the 2nd stage? Yesterday evening, his PDA had suddenly beeped, announcing the start of the 2nd stage. At the same time, his clear condition had changed. Up until then, it had simply been possess 10 or more unused memory chips. But with the 2nd stage, it became possess 10 or more unused memory chips and keep other players' current memory chip count at the same or less than your own. It was a slight change, but one that made a big difference. Unless Majima kept other players' memory chip count in mind, he wouldn't be able to win.
俺より多くのチップを持っている奴がそう多くいるとは思えないが。
I don't think there's many players out there with more chips than me, but still. Majima's special function was display the current memory chip count of players within 10 meters. It had probably been given to him with the second stage in mind from the start. Today and the day before, Majima had done his best to collect chips, and currently had 8 in possession, but no further than that.
結局ゲームを運営している連中の思惑通りというわけか。
So in the end, I'm just living up to the expectations of the people running this game, huh? He had 2 choices. Continuing gathering memory chips as he had, or steal memory chips from players who had more than him. Considering how it was the 4th day and how sparse unopened cubes were growing, perhaps it was time for him to start considering the latter. However, it was unlikely either one would be an easy path, especially considering how the arrow wounds in his foot still hurt. I've been forced to take frequent breaks as a result. All of a sudden, Majima came to a halt. He sensed a presence in the bushes on the other side of the trail he was walking down.
誰だ?
Who's there? Majima got into his fighting pose and shouted. Perhaps that response was a little too optimistic right now at this turn of the game. A little while later, a young man came out of a bush about 7 meters away.
お前は?
Who are you? Majima had never seen this person before. The young man looked Majima dead in the eye.
お前、
Majima had never
Majima
seen this
ka?
person before. Are you Majima?
なぜ俺の名を?
How did you know my name?
荻原結衣という女に聞いたんだ。そんな名前の体のでかいボクサーがいると。
A girl named Yui Ogihara told me. She said it belonged to a well-built boxer.
お前はボクサーかどうかはわからないが、体格はいいだろう。だから釜をかけてみただけだ。
I don't know if you're a boxer, but you sure are well built. So I thought I'd goad you into telling me what I wanted to know.
そうか。
I see. Majima found it hard to gauge the young man's objective. Though Majima was bewildered, the young man continued.
ところで、お前に一つ聞きたいことがあ
By
る。
the
お
way,
前のナンバーは何だ?
by the way, I'd like to ask you something. What's your number?
ナンバーだと?
My number? The moment he heard that, Majima realized the young man's goal. In other words, he had appeared to Majima in order to fulfill his own clear condition. Much like how Majima was striving to learn the other player's current memory chip count. But something about his question felt ominous. What if this person's condition is to kill a player of a certain number? With that thought, Majima forgot the pain in his foot and sprung into action.
答える必要はない.
I don't have to answer that. Majima instantly closed 7 meters between them and unleashed a step jab without breaking his posture. Whereas this is a boxing match, it would have been an effective lead blow. But the young man pulled a move one would never see in such a match. He flopped onto the ground in order to dodge the jab. Majima's left fist cut through air. He looked down on his opponent and prepared to file off of a stomp one also wasn't seen in the boxing arena. Only for his leg to burst open in concert with the roar of a gunshot. With his right leg shot, Majima fell to the ground. Right as the young man had been falling, he whipped a pistol out of his waist and shot Majima in the leg. Though Majima was used to pain, the agony in his leg was unbearable. As Majima held his leg and groaned, the young man calmly stood up. Sensing danger, Majima tried to flee, but the young man grabbed him before he could and took his PDA out of his rear pocket. He took a look at it and spoke in a cold voice.
Player number 7. So 数だな。
Player number 7. As I thought, you're a prime number, huh? It seemed the young man was targeting prime number players. Majima endured the severe pain as he formulated a question. What are you going to do to me?
殺す。
Kill you. Majima grimaced at that predictable answer. But the young man's falling words were anything but predictable.
と言いたいところだが、その前に一働きしてもらおう。
Or rather, I'd like to, but I'll put you to good use first. What? Paying no attention to Majima's confusion, the young man took another small pistol out of his pocket. Then, for reasons beyond Majima's comprehension, he threw into a bush a short distance away. What?
あの銃を拾って使え。その足じゃボクシングはもうできないだろう。
Pick up that gun and use it. Not like you can box anymore with that leg.
お前に恨みがある奴に襲われた時にでも、護身のために使うんだ。
Use it to protect yourself if that guy with a grudge attacks you or something. Right as he finished saying that, the young man turned around and ran off somewhere. Hey, wait! However, the man didn't stop. He kept on running until he was out of Majima's sight. What? What was that all about? Whatever the case, it seemed he narrowly escaped death. With that thought, Majima looked at the bush where the gun had been thrown. Perhaps it was some sort of trap, but as the young man said, with his leg in its current state, he had no way of protecting himself if an enemy came by. He needed a weapon to make up for his lost footwork. Damn it. Majima dragged his injured leg over to the bush. He found the pistol and took it into his hands. He'd never used one of them before, but he'd seen enough movies to at least know how to turn off the safety. Relying on his vague memories, he removed the safety and fired a test shot. A bullet fired, but the recoil of the discharge sent pain running through his leg. Majima's thoughts resentfully turned to the young man he just met. Still, that guy. Just what is he after? Why had he crippled and left a gun for his target instead of killing him? It made no logical sense. Majima heaved a sigh.
とにかく今はこの傷が癒えるまで待つしかないか。
Anyway, I guess all I can do for now is wait until I recover from this wound.
簡単に治るような浅い傷ではないかもしれないが、
Though it might not be a shallow wound that'll heal easily. But he had no other choice. Majima put the small pistol at his waist and began working to stop the bleeding in his leg. Sometime later, just as Majima had managed to stop the bleeding and was waiting on the roadside until he regained enough strength, he suddenly heard a voice.
三つの野郎、どこに行きやがったんだ。
Fucking hell. Mitsuru, you bastard. Where the fuck did you go? Majima, who'd been on the verge of losing consciousness from the pain and blood loss, instantly snapped awake. It was a voice he'd heard 4 days ago, on the first day of this game. Masaki Kurokawa's voice.
あの野郎を見つけたら絶対ただじゃおかねえ。
Once I find that no good son of a bitch, he's in for a world of hurt. Kurokawa cursed with rage. At that point in time, Kurokawa was so angry that he'd completely forgotten his PDA special function. If only he'd remembered it, he would have learned Mitsuru was already dead. But Kurokawa, exasperated with rage at Mitsuru's desertion, was so filled with bloodlust as he wandered the field that he failed to consider that. Kurokawa approached with the face of a beast. Once he heard his footsteps, Majima recalled what the young man said. Use it to protect yourself if that guy with a grudge attacks you or something. It was at that moment Majima finally understood what the young man had been planning.
奴は黒川と俺を潰し合わせようとして。
That guy. Is he planning to get Kurokawa and I to kill each other? The young man shot him out his leg, left him crippled, and provided him with a gun. Then when Kurokawa passed by, they'd shoot each other. Of course, even if Kurokawa didn't come by, it wouldn't be a problem. All the young man had to do was wait for Majima to die of blood loss, or come back later and finish the job. Just as Majima thought that...
な、誰だよ、そこにいんのは。
Huh? Hey, who's there? Kurokawa... He heard Kurokawa's voice. Majima twitched. Kurokawa continued his verbal pursuit.
ミツルか？逃げたけどやっぱ怖くなって俺んところに戻りてえのか？
That you, Mitsuru? I know you must have been scared to run off, but don't you want to come back?
だとしたら来いよ、おい。俺は別に怒ってねえからよ。
Then get over here. I ain't mad at you or nothing. Kurokawa pointed his gun at the bushes as he spoke. Majima knew he couldn't run away. I have no choice. Majima gripped the gun and, mustering his strength into his uninjured left leg, rushed out of the bushes.
黒川！
Majima fired blindly right as he lunged out of the bushes. Most of his shots missed, but some grazed Kurokawa. However, they were all far from fatal wounds. By the time he ran out of bullets, Kurokawa was still standing tall, with only a few minor wounds to show for it. God damn. Even I didn't see that coming.
まさかヤブをつついたら真島さんが出てくるとは思わなかったもんな。
Who'd have thunk the almighty Majima would come attacking from some bushes, am I right? Kurokawa smirked and locked his eyes on Majima.
その銃はどうしたんだ？ボクサーをやめてガンマンに転向か？
What's with that gun, eh? You quit boxing and shift over to gunplay?
よく見れば足怪我してんじゃねえか？
Well, looky here. Your leg's injured, ain't it?
なるほどね。それで戦えなくなって銃を使うようになったと。
Now I get it. You can't fight anymore because of that, so you took up a gun.
おめえもあれだな。僕はスポーツマンですって面しといて、一皮むきゃ俺と同じ穴の無地なじゃねえ
So you're the same, eh? You put on this whole big show about being a sportsman, but peel off the layers, and what do you know? Turns out we're birds of a feather. Shut up. Majima threw his gun aside and took up a fighting pose. When he saw that, Kurokawa's face warped into a triumphant expression, and he raised his gun.
さすがに無理だろマジは。その足で銃に勝とうってのはよ。
Whoa, man. I think even you know how to quit while you're ahead. You can't beat a gun with a leg like that.
やってみなければわからないだろう。
I won't know until I try. Majima ready to throw a punch straight at Kurokawa, showing no fear of the gun or pleas for his life. But Kurokawa pulled the trigger a second quicker. Shot in the left leg, Majima collapsed to the ground. As Majima arrived in agony on the earth, Kurokawa pointed his gun at him.
なかなか笑えたぜマジは。
Giving me quite the laugh, Majima.
この世でチャンピオン目指してか
Later. Good luck winning the championship in hell. With those last words, Kurokawa pulled the trigger and hit Majima directly in the forehead, ending his life.
来ていたのか。
So you're here.
周平様をお待たせするわけにはいきませんから。
I could never allow myself to keep you waiting, Master Shuhei. Shuhei Fujita arrived at the rendezvous point on time, only to find Hitomi already waiting for him.
まずは報告を聞こう。
First, give me your report.
はい。
Yes, Master.
東堂優奈たちが拠点としていた山小屋はすでにもぬけの殻でした。
The mountain hut Unitoto and her team were using as a base has already been abandoned.
山小屋にはプレイヤー同士が争った形跡がありましたが、ターゲット2名の生死は確認できず。
There were signs of a battle there, but I could not confirm the two targets had been eliminated.
その後、周囲のエリアを探索しましたが、ターゲットの姿はおろか、他のプレイヤーも発見できませんでした。
I searched the surrounding areas afterwards, but I found no trace of the targets, to say least of any other players.
進展はなし。
So no progress, huh?
ご期待に添えず申し訳ありません。次は必ず目的を果たしてご覧に入れます。
My sincerest apologies for failing to live up to your expectations. I swear I will fulfill my objectives without fail that next time.
ああ、期待している。
Yeah, I expect to hear good things.
他には
Anything else?
道中にてメモリーチップを4枚ほど確保しております。
I managed to secure 4 memory chips along the way. Shuhei took the memory chips Hitomi presented him with. After looking them over, he gave 2 back to Hitomi.
こちらは
Master Shuhei?
お前も必要だろう。使え。
You need them too, right? Use them.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much. Hitomi had almost certainly not expected such benevolence from Shuhei. She bowed her head with a smile like an innocent child who'd been given candy by her father. Shuhei regarded her with cold eyes and snorted.
次は俺の番だ。
My turn.
はい。
Yes, master.
まずは荻原結衣と真島明則をターゲットから外す。
First, Yu Yogihara and Akinori Majima are no longer targets.
と言いますと
Why is that?
俺の PDA には殺害対象のプレイヤーナンバーが表示されるんだ。
My PDA shows the player numbers of the players that must die.
そこからナンバー5と7が消えた。
Numbers 5 and 7 have disappeared.
あいつらはおそらくもう生きてはいないはずだ。
That means those 2 are likely dead.
なるほど。かしこまりました。
I see. Understood.
それでは次に優先的に狙うべきターゲットを決める。
Next, I've decided on our top priority target.
三林司だ。こいつは所在も知れているしな。
Tsukasa Mitsubayashi. You remember where he is, right?
司は狡猾で頭の切れる男だ。
Tsukasa's a sharp and crafty one.
いざとなれば仲間を見捨ててでも生き残ろうとするだろう。
He'll probably abandon his own comrades to survive if the chips were down.
瞳、お前に任せていいな。
Can you take care of him, Hitomi?
もちろんです。周平様のご期待を裏切るようなことはありません。
Of course. I shall not betray your expectations.
いい返事だ。成果を期待している。
Good answer. I'll be awaiting good news. Yes, master. Hitomi grabbed her chainsaw with a fiery gleam in her eyes. She then disappeared into the forest, heading towards the mountain cabin where Tsukasa was staying. As he watched her leave, Shuhei's voice lowered.
さあ、お前はどうで、司。
Now then, what will you do, Tsukasa?
やってくれね。
She's a real piece of work. Tsukasa Mitsubayashi looked down the mountain trail leading to the base of the mountain with a stiff smile plastered on his face. On that trail were multiple old traps Tsukasa had discovered and repurposed for himself. They had turned the mountain cabin into a stronghold, and which was supposed to have been an impregnable minefield that only those who knew the locations of the traps could pass. However,
一見して罠を見切るなんてただものじゃないね。
she's a wild number to be able to see through all those traps with plants in the darkness. Those defenses were being smashed head-on by one girl. It was a sketchy maid who'd been with Shuhei a few days earlier. If Tsukasa recalled correctly, her name was Hitomi. She broke through the traps one after another, swinging her chainsaw with a composed smile. It was only a matter of time before she reached the cabin.
どうしますか、司さん。
What shall we do, Tsukasa?
さあ、どうしたものかな。
Good question. I wonder that myself.
最近僕は自分の考えに自信が持てなくなっていてね。
Lately, I've been losing confidence in my own thoughts.
珍しく弱気なことを言うのですね。 らしくないですよ。
It's rare for you to sound so feeble. This isn't like you.
愚痴の一つもこぼしたくなるさ。
It makes me want to complain.
黒川といい、あのメイドといい、このゲームの参加者はもう少し常識の範囲で行動してもらいたいもんだけど。
I wish the players of this game would act a tad more within the realm of common sense, particularly Kurokawa and that maid.
司にとっての常識が必ずしも他の人間に当てはまらないといういい教訓です。
Well, that just goes to show you that your common sense doesn't apply to everyone. It's a good lesson.
肝に銘じておくよ。
I'll keep that in mind. I hate to admit it, but we've been completely defeated this time. He told me he had clearly gone through some sort of special training before she entered this game. Faced with that overwhelming gap in ability, Tsukasa now knew no parlor tricks would be enough to slow her down. If he were to fight Hitomi, he'd at least need traps used for catching live animals.
逃走か、もしくは籠城か。
Do we flee, or do we hold down the fort? He considered the risks of both. Their chances of slipping away in the night and shaving her off were about 5%. If they kept firing warning shots at her and ran for the bushes, where it'd be hard for her to use her chainsaw, maybe they could...
いや、待てよ。あいつの特殊機能はレーダーにもなるのか。
No. Wait. Her special function can serve as a radar. The effective range of her special function was 100 meters. If they got in her range, they need to run over 100 meters away from her to remove themselves from her contact list.
逃げ切るのは厳しいか。だとすれば籠城かな。
So it'll be difficult to run away, huh? And shall we hold down the fort?
いや、
No. What good would holding up in the cabin solidifying their defenses do? Their opponents already knew where they were. They could possibly repel her, but she'd just keep coming back until one side ended up dead. If they started to fire in the small cabin, trying to escape would not be pleasant by any means. In that case, Tsukasa could only think of one way to survive.
真っ向からの勝負にかけるしかないか。
All you can do is bet on a head-on fight with her, huh?
レイはあいつとまともにやり合って勝てる自信はある？
Ray, do you think you can take her on in a fair fight?
おそらく実力は拮抗しています。
Her strength likely rivals mine.
無傷でとはいかないでしょう。
I probably wouldn't emerge unscathed. The hum of the chainsaw grew closer. They no longer had a moment to spare.
それでもやるしかないね。
Still, we have to try it.
レイは足止めを頼む。その間に僕は不意打ちの用意をしておく。
I'm counting on you to hold her. While you do that, I'll prepare a surprise attack.
横合いから狙撃で割り込むから、相手がひるんだところを全力で仕留めてくれ。
I'll shoot her from the side, and you deliver the killing blow while she flinches.
承知。
Got it. Ray drew her sword and stood in the middle of the trail, awaiting Hitomi. Meanwhile, Tsukasa darted behind a tree. And true to his original plan, he ran away from the battlefield.
悪いね、レイ。
Sorry, Ray. The true strategy Tsukasa had chosen was to use Ray as a decoy and run. By sacrificing her, he had a 100% chance of saving himself. He kept Ray with him all the time for an occasion just like this. It was the most pragmatic and logical choice there was in terms of keeping himself alive. The chainsaw's rotating blade hummed loudly behind Tsukasa. Thinking that signified the start of Rei's battle with Hitomi, Tsukasa turned around. What? But at that moment, he found himself face to face with Hitomi, her lips curled in a smirk.
お連れの女性を置き去りにしてどちらへ行かれるのです？
Leaving your companion behind and trying to get away?
よもや一人で逃げ出すつもりだったのですか？
You were most certainly trying to flee by yourself, were you not?
やはりあなたは周平様のおっしゃる通りの人間でしたね。
You truly are the kind of person Master Shuhei said.
たとえ私の目は欺けたとしても周平様まで欺くことはできませんよ。
Even if you deceive my eyes, you will never deceive his.
藤田先輩が入れ知恵してたわけか。それは誤算だったかな。
So Fujita suggested this, huh? Quite the miscalculation on my part. Tsukasa smiled wryly as he took out his pistol. The cold sweat on his brow betrayed his attitude.
周平様があなたの死をお望みです。
Master Shuhei wishes for your demise.
ここで命を差し出していただけますか？
Will you not give up your life to me now?
拒否権はあるのかい？
Do I have a right to refuse?
当然ありません。
Of course not. Right when Tsukasa raised his gun, Hitomi darted behind a nearby tree. Gunshot after gunshot rang out, the bullets striking the trees Hitomi used for cover. She swiftly lunged from tree cover to tree cover. Though they'd only been fighting for a few seconds, the distance between them was rapidly closing. Naturally, Tsukasa's bullets didn't even graze her.
早い。
Damn it, she's fast!
どうして最初に気がつかなかったんだ。
Why didn't I realize it from the beginning?
あのメイドが藤田先輩の命令で動いてるなんて考えればすぐに分かりそうなことなのに。
If I thought about it, I should have known that the maid was acting according to Fujita's orders. Shuhei's first Shuhei's first stage condition had been all prime number players' clear conditions are fulfilled. Tsukasa had already known that. Back during the briefing in the central control facility, he first copied Kozumi's special function and used that to steal the other players' information. But though he'd learned their clear conditions, he hadn't fully capitalized on the information. He should have easily been able to predict the possibility that a prime numbered player like him had become a target once the second stage started, and yet...
こんなところでゲームオーバーなのか。この僕が。
Is this where it ends? For me of all people? And he finally ran out of bullets too. He was out of cards to play.
抵抗はおしまいですか？
Are you done fighting back? Hitomi creeped towards him through the darkness. Only 3 meters separated them.
ではおやすみなさい。
Then, good night.
こんなバカなことが。
This can't possibly be how I... As Hitomi raised her chainsaw against the moon, she also saw the death that awaited him. The rotating chainsaw would swing down and reduce his body to mincemeat. Feeling the fear of death for the first time in his life, Tsukasa froze completely. He shut his eyes in preparation of his death. But just then...
させません。
Not on my watch! The chainsaw's blade was knocked to the side as it descended, and Rei came to a halt right in front of Tsukasa. a second. Quick drink break. Okay, back. Immediately afterwards, she used her remaining momentum to swing her sword upwards. Hitomi jumped back in time, but Rei managed to shave off part of her maid uniform.
これは何の真似ですか？
Whatever do you think you're doing?
司は死なせませんよ。
I won't let Tsukasa die. Rei wielded her katana and guarded Tsukasa, standing Hitomi's way.
レイ、どうして？
Rei? But why?
仲間が危機的状況なら助けるのが当たり前です。
My teammate was in danger. Of course I'd show up to help him.
僕は君を裏切って逃げようとしたんだぞ。
Don't you get it? I betrayed you and tried to save myself.
知っています。
I know.
だったら
Then... As Tsukasa prowled on behind her, Rei breathed a sigh for show.
司も落ちたものですね。
You truly have fallen, Tsukasa. What?
弱音を吐いている暇があるなら早く策を立てなさい。
If you have time to complain, then hurry up and come with a plan.
あなたはもっと生き位置が汚いはずです。
I thought you had a stronger lust for life than this.
違いますか？
Am I wrong?
ああ、そうだね。その通りだ。
No, you're right. That's exactly it.
レイ、時間を稼いでくれ。
Rei, buy me some time.
了解。
Roger. Just as she received her answer, Rei closed the gap between her and Hitomi. Metal screamed as the katana and chainsaw clashed, shooting sparks that blossomed and disappeared into the forest. Rei cut through those sparkling red flowers of her blade as she plunged the tip towards her foe. However, Hitomi repelled it with her chainsaw and dodged. With superb kinetic vision unhampered by the night, she parried Rei's thrust at the tip. Rei's eyes widened at the display of those monstrous abilities. She changed her footing and moved to Hitomi's right side. But just as she was about to change from thrust to clean sweeps, and was starting her blade in preparation for a torso sweep, she caught a fierce blow in the corner of her eye, and managed to dodge a failed blow by the skin of her teeth. Her hair flew. Her clothes were ripped. Her torn skin bled. Regardless, she ground her teeth to keep them from chattering in fear, and immediately slipped past the grotesque blade swinging down towards her. But it didn't just end with that.
私と渡り合うとは見事な剣の腕ですね。
You have such splendid sword skills to match up to me.
しかし、それもいつまで持つか。
But how long can you last? Hitomi swung her chainsaw swiftly as though it were a light twig, drawing the blade towards Rei's neck with incredible speed. It sent leaves flying up and moved forward while breaking everything in its path, much like a tornado. However, Rei didn't attempt to run from that storm. Though she barely dodged, or rather barely escaped with cuts, she continued to buy time, fully prepared to die. Though her katana was chipped and there were tears in her skin gushing with blood, she continued to wait for Tsukasa to come up with a plan to turn the tables. Tsukasa calmly watched them. And when he finally felt the time was right, he used his PDA. moment later, everyone's PDA's beeps indicate an email had been received. Hitomi slowed down. It was a blank email with no subject, a plan Tsukasa had concocted to distract Hitomi. He'd used this PDA special function to copy Hitomi's email function. Seizing the chance, Tsukasa dragged Rei with him and covered her eyes and ears. At the same time, he threw his final trump card, a flashbang grenade. That's... At that instant, intense sound and light trampled down the surrounding area. Such impudence! Hitomi couldn't move in the face of that intense light and sound. She fell to her knees and groaned as she covered her eyes. No! Run! Right! Tsukasa and Rei could barely hear a thing. They managed to guess each other's the situation from the movement of each other's lips and ran. I'm just gonna take a quick check on the PDA function just to show it off since things have clearly changed since last time I used it much earlier on. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. I'm just glad to give people a chance to experience these sorts of games. Alright, so as we can see, the data has been updated to the second stage, and now we show all the dead players. Although the clear conditions of those we didn't know anything about are still blank. A mountain hut. So there's one over here, too. After escaping from Hitomi's assault, Tsukasa and Rei found a new mountain hut. It was about 1 kilometer away from the one they'd been using up until now, and was the one that had been once used by Yuna as her base. Let's take a little break here. Can you walk a little longer? Yes, I'm fine. Good thing no one's here. Tsukasa had checked around the hut, but it appeared no one was lying nearby. Geographically, it was an easier target than the cabin Tsukasa had been using as a base, but if he put the weapons that had been left behind to good use, he could probably make some traps. There are signs someone's been here, though. Yes, perhaps that someone will come back. Meaning we can't stay here long? But even so, your stamina is at its limit, right? Let's borrow this place for a while and keep on guard. So what you're saying is, I'm a burden. For now, it'd be best if you treat your wounds. Fortunately, it seems that we have everything we need for emergency treatment here. Yes. Tsukasa looked away as Rei started to remove the top of her uniform. I'll be in the other room. Tsukasa? Yes? Can you help me? Okay. The wounds Ray had borne the wounds Ray had borne from the full front of Hitomi's attack were deeper than they thought. She was suffering sprains and dislocations, and it seemed some of her bones were cracked. Furthermore, her opponent's weapon of choice had been a chainsaw that gouged out flesh with even a graze. After exchanging dozens of blows, it was only natural that her body was covered in scrapes. Finding it hard to look at those wounds, Tsukasa held his breath and squinted as he silently treated them. He wiped off the blood and dirt sticking to her body, applied disinfectant to all her wounds, and bandaged them. Ow!
ごめん、強く締めすぎた。
Sorry, did I fasten it too tight? Did I fasten it too tight? Lei let out a small scream as her face warped in agony. Faced with that reaction, Tsukasa hastily loosened the bandage she was tying on her upper arm.
大丈夫です。この程度かすり傷みたいなものですよ。
I'm fine. These are just scratches. Ray tried to put on a brave face, but her forehead was sweating profusely.
レイ、どうしてあの時僕を助けたの？
Why did you save me?
あのメイドと戦えば無傷ではいられないって言ったのは君だよ。
You're the one who said you wouldn't emerge from a fight of that maid unscathed.
仲間が危機的状況なら助けるのが当たり前です。
My teammate was in danger. It was only natural that I helped. Ray had said the exact same thing back then. Tsukasa raised his eyebrows and shook his head.
僕は君の仲間じゃない。
I'm no teammate of yours.
君を見殺しにして一人だけ逃げ延びようとしたんだ。
I was planning to leave you to die so I could escape on my own.
そうでしたね。
So that was it.
司に裏切られたと知った時、私はとても悲しかった。
When I realized you betrayed me, I was very sad.
司に信頼されていない自分が悔しくて、何も言わずに置いていかれたことが悲しくて、私をおとりにした司が憎くて。
I was bitter that you didn't trust me, sad that you left me without a word, hated that you used me as a decoy.
胸がすごく痛かったです。
And my heart hurt so much.
おかしなものですね。最初に会った時は司のことを全く信用していなかったのに。
It's strange, isn't it? I mean, I didn't trust you one bit when we first met.
司が怪しい素振りを見せないか常に警戒していました。万が一裏切られても即座に対応できるように刀は手放しませんでした。
I always kept my guard up because I suspected you might display unsettling behavior. I always kept my sword on hand so I could react instantly in the event you betrayed me.
それをしなくなったのはきっとあの時からです。
I stopped doing that around... Yes, around that time, I'm sure of it.
あの時
What time?
私が初音を崖から突き落としてしまった後、司は私に刀を手渡してくれました。
When you gave me my sword after I pushed Hatsune off the cliff.
そして私を仲間だと言ってくれました。
You called me a teammate when you did.
そんなの詭弁だよ。君を騙して利用し続けるための偽りの言葉だ。
Hold on one second. Okay, Beck. You're just twisting my words, nothing more. It was all just a lie to deceive you so I could keep on using you.
本当はレイだって分かっていたはずだよ。僕らは最初から打算と計算の上に成り立ったドライな関係だった。
From the very start, we've had a dry relationship comprised entirely of calculations and self-interest. Deep down, you should have understood that yourself.
だったらどうして司は私を解放してくれるんですか？
In that case, why are you treating my wounds? Huh? Now that she mentioned it, that was true. For someone like Rei, who was valued for his sword-fighting skills, these wounds had likely rendered her incapable of further combat. Even if he took her with him, she'd just slow him down at this point. Her existence should have no longer held any value in Skasa's eyes. And above all else, Skasa's clear condition called for 3 or less people to fulfill their conditions. Even though that didn't clash with Rei's, there was no benefit in letting her live.
今の私が司にとってどんな価値があるのですか？
What do I mean to you now?
それは僕にもよくわからないよ。
Honestly, even I'm not sure.
人間の心なんて単純明瞭で、それを操作するなんてたやすいことだと思っていた。
I believe people's hearts were simple and clean, easy to manipulate.
だけど現実は想像以上に複雑で、僕の思い通りになんてなってくれなかった。
But the reality is more complicated than I imagined. Things didn't go the way I expected them to.
バカみたいだよね。
Sounds so foolish, doesn't it?
他人どころか自分自身の感情だってよくわかっていないんだから。
This, coming from a person who has trouble grasping others' emotions, much less his own. Skasa looked away from Rei's glance, giving a self-deprecating smile.
まあ、それでもね。
Well, even so.
別に僕だって女の子の裸に興味がないわけじゃないよ。
It's not as if I don't have any interest in the girl's skin.
はい。
Sorry, what?
ねえって身持ちが硬そうだからさ、こんな無防備な姿を拝めるなんて僕は役得だと思わない？
It's because you seem like a woman of virtue. Don't you think I wouldn't consider looking at your defenseless body as a perk?
貧相な体には興味がないと言っていませんでしたか？
Didn't you say you had no interest in gaunt bodies?
レイは意外と気痩せするタイプかも。想像していたより成長してて驚いたよ。
Maybe you just look thinner with clothes. I must say, I'm surprised your body is more developed than I imagined.
なんだか司に肌を晒しているのが急に疎ましく思えてきました。
I'm quickly starting to feel quite adverse to exposing my body to you.
あまり私に近寄らないでください。
Please don't get close to me. Rei covered her chest and scowled at Skasa with disgust. Skasa flashed her the same irritating smile as he always did.
レイと一緒にいると退屈しないからね。
You know, it's never a dull moment with you around.
それが君を生かしておく理由ってことにしてくれないかな。
Maybe that's why I'm letting you live?
ああ、私は暇つぶしのおもちゃですか。
So I'm just a means for you to kill time, is that it?
無念です。
So vexating.
そう？光栄に思えばいいんじゃないかな。
Really? I think you should feel honored.
と、よし、これで終わり。
And there we go. All done. Skasa finished bandaging the last wound and stood up.
外を見張っておくよ。その間に仮眠を取っておくといい。
I'm going to go stand watch outside. It'd be best for you to catch some sleep in the meantime.
司。ありがとうございます。
Thank you. Skasa gave a faint smile and waved to Rei as he left the hut.
さてと、これ れからのことを考えておかないと。
Now then, I need to think about what we're going to do next. He stretched out and rewired his brain.
当面の問題はあのメイドだよね。
Right now, our biggest problem is that maid, huh? Even if they stayed in the hut, it was only a matter of time before she found them. If they left their PDAs behind to escape her special function, it was possible they could buy some time. But not being able to use their map or memory chips was too big a risk. Furthermore, the rules said they couldn't be separated from their PDA for more than 3 hours.
だったらここで迎え撃つしかない。
Then their only chance is to wait in ambush. If even Ray was no match for her, that meant they didn't stand a chance in close combat.
遮蔽物のない場所に誘い込んで面で攻撃していくか。
Perhaps if we lured her to a place with no cover and attacked her head on? If they obtained a powerful firearm like a submachine gun or a shotgun, they could limit her actions. A landmine would probably be effective too. The problem was that they'd left the majority of their weapons at the mountain cabin. They had no time to go back for them. Even if they tried to find new ones, it was likely there were very few memory chips left.
となると、あとは時間との戦いだね。
Which means it's going to be a battle against time, huh?
あいつが再び襲撃してくるまでに、こちらがどれだけ準備を整えられるかが勝負の分かれ目になる。
The odds of the battle depend on how much we can prepare before her next attack.
その後は天に采配を委ねるしかない。
Everything else is in God's hands. Day 5. Oops. Right. Oops. On the morning of the game's 5th day, under the overhang of a house in the village, Shuhei was awakened by the sound of someone treading on grit. But he pretended not to have noticed, while quietly crossing his arms behind his back to reach for his pistol. Wanted to be stopped before he could.
動かないで。
Don't move.
誰だ？
Who are you? Shuhei slowly looked up at his mystery guest.
お前。
It's you.
春菜か。
Haruna. Right?
ええ。
Yes. Haruna was standing right there, pointing a crossbow to Shuhei's forehead. Shuhei hadn't seen her since the briefing, and when he saw her weapon, his eyes narrowed. For as far as he knew, there was only one player who'd used a weapon like that.
まだ生き残っていたのか。
So you're still alive, huh?
別に難しいことじゃない。
It's not that difficult.
どういう意味だ？
What do you mean?
勘違いしないで。話をしているのは私。
Don't get me wrong. I'm here to talk. Haruna lifted the crossbow.
わかった。それで何の用だ？
Alright. So, what do you want?
あなたに警告しに来たの。
I came to give you a warning.
なんだと？
What?
他のプレイヤーを殺すつもりならやめて。
If you plan to kill other players, then stop.
この先一切誰も傷つけずに最終日を迎えてほしいの。
I want you to go through the rest of the game without hurting anyone.
まさかこの後に及んで死人は出したくないなんて考えているわけじゃないだろうな。
I doubt it's because you don't want to see any more deaths. A little too late for that.
安心して。別に死人が出ることを懸念してるわけじゃないから。
Relax. I'm not particularly concerned if more people die.
他のプレイヤーの命なんて私にとっては何の価値もないもの。
The lives of the other players mean nothing to me.
だとしたらお前の目的は何なんだ？
Then what are you after?
私のクリア条件が関係しているから。
It has to do with my clear condition.
クリア条件？
Clear condition?
プレイヤーを殺害した他プレイヤー全員の死亡。
All players who killed other players die.
それが私のクリア条件よ。
That's my clear condition. In other words, if Shuhei killed another player, he'd become one of Haruna's targets. If Haruna could put him in check before that happened, her clear condition would be that much easier. The logic made sense. But only when considering her clear condition.
お願いだから他のプレイヤーを殺すのはやめて。
Please stop trying to kill other players.
それは無理な相談だな。
I can't do that.
だいたい俺のクリア条件が他のプレイヤーの殺害を必要とするものだったらどうする？
I mean, what would you do if it turned out my clear condition requires killing other players?
もしそうだった場合、お前は俺に死ねと言っているのと同じだ。
If it is, then you're basically asking me to die.
それなら殺したい相手を私に教えて。
In that case, tell me who you want to kill.
周平が殺さないといけない人間がいるなら私が代わりにやってあげる。
If you need to kill someone, I'll do it for you.
は？
What? What the hell is she saying? Even Shuhei was rendered slack-jawed by Haruna's erratic answer. She already had a harsh clear condition as it was, yet she was proposing to take on another's condition.
話が見えてこないな。なぜお前が俺の命に執着する？
I just don't get you. Why do you care about my life?
あなたを殺したくないから。
Because I don't want to kill you.
それはおかしいな。
That doesn't make sense.
ゲームの初日にあの麦畑で俺たちを襲ってきたのはお前だったはずだ。
I mean, you had to be the one who attacked us in that wheat field on the first day.
そのクロスボウで俺たちを狙撃してきた。違うか？
You shot at us with that crossbow. Am I wrong?
それが私のクリア条件だったから。
It's because that was my clear condition.
他のプレイヤーに対して3回以上危害を加える。
Injure 3 or more players.
これが私のファーストステージにおけるクリア条件。
That was my first stage clear condition.
説明会の時何も言わずに周平の前からいなくなったのもそれが理由。
That's also why I left you without a word back at the briefing.
私は自分が生き残るためなら手段は選ばない。
I had no other choice if I wanted to live.
お前の言ってることは矛盾だらけだな。
You just keep contradicting yourself at one turn after another.
だったらどうして今俺を殺さない？
If that's true, then why don't you kill me now?
生き残るために手段を選ばないって言うなら問答無用で俺を撃てばいい。
If you have no other choice if you want to live, you should shoot me without question.
いや
I don't want to.
なぜだ？お前にとって俺にどんな価値がある？
Why not? What do I mean to you?
それはクリアすればわかるわ。
You'll understand if you win the game.
周平にだって本当はもう分かっているはずよ。
Deep down, You should already know the answer. Behind her monotone voice and cold expression, Shuhei caught a slight glimpse of her true face. It was somewhat lonely and melancholic. A face of grief.
春菜、お前はまさか。
Haruna, don't tell me you're... Shuhei swallowed what he was about to say and shook his head. By this point, he identified the numbers of most of the other players. The only ones he hadn't were the 3, 9, and Joker. If Haruna's player number was 3, then that made her one of his targets. If so, then even if he listened to her request, it didn't change the fact that they'd have to kill each other eventually. But Shuhei is something that motivated him beyond that.
春菜、悪いが、お前の要求は聞けない。
Sorry, Haruna, but I can't accept your request.
どうしても
No matter what?
ああ、
Yeah.
俺にはどうしてもこの手で殺さなきゃならない奴がいるんだ。
There's someone I have to kill, no matter what.
そう
I see.
だったら次に会った時は敵同士ね。
Then the next time we meet, we'll be enemies, I suppose.
ああ、そうだな。
Yeah, looks like it.
さようなら周平。
Goodbye, Shuhei. Haruna looked like she wanted to say something else, but held her tongue and left. After seeing her off, Shuhei heaved a deep sigh. An outsider would think the two of them were hopelessly awkward and comical. If she were just trying to fulfill her condition and nothing else, Haruna should have killed Shuhei. There was no reason for her to let him live. Though she could have killed him at any moment, she'd shown him mercy. On the other hand, Shuhei should have been able to use her. He could have let her take out his target and thrown her away at the very end. Yet he hadn't.
次に会った時は敵同士か。
We'll be enemies the next time we meet, huh?
結局、俺たちにはそういう生き方しか許されていないんだ。春菜。
In the end, that's the only way of life we're allowed, Haruna. Shuhei smiled bitterly at the belated realization of the organizer's malice. He then laughed for a while, and silently left the village with a dark glint in his eyes. On that day, Shuhei did only one thing. Look for Kurokawa. Hitomi was probably already taking care of the other prime-numbered players. So he concentrated on getting his revenge for Hitomi. He searched every nook and cranny of the areas, all the while keeping a close eye on his surroundings. The whole time, his mind was occupied with his conversation with Haruna. If what she said had been true, then the people running this game had undoubtedly put a lot of thought into the player roster and rules they'd given them. An arrangement calculated out of pure malice. But though he understood that, it wouldn't change Shuhei's actions. Killing Kurokawa was completely unrelated to Shuhei's clear condition. In other words, Shuhei was currently trying to kill him not because of the game's rules or the administrator's expectations, but out of his own will. All he cared about was getting revenge for Kotomi. To see that his blackened heart's desire for vengeance was fulfilled. And after walking around for what seemed like ages, just when the sun was setting in the west and the moon was rising in the east, Shuhei finally found his target past the trees. There you are. Shuhei gripped his gun. Kurokawa hadn't noticed him yet. He was walking down a mountain trail, playing with his gun. However, there were about 100 meters between the two. It would be too difficult to land a shot on him with a pistol. Shuhei wouldn't be able to unless he got within 20 meters of Kurokawa. But if he tried to close the distance, then his target might notice him. Shuhei walked ahead, slowly and calmly. As he continued to tail Kurokawa, he gradually closed the distance. Kurokawa still hadn't noticed him. There were about 20 meters between them now. He was within firing range. Shuhei's heart leapt in his chest. He told himself to calm down. But when he raised the gun and turned off the safety... Huh? Kurokawa turned around, having picked up that faint sound. At that moment, something snapped in Shuhei's head. The emotions he'd repressed all this time erupted out of his head. Kurokawa! Out of his chest, sorry. When he came to his senses, he shouted at him, pointing his gun. But Kurokawa whipped out his own gun at the same time. They fired almost simultaneously. Both shots missed. Shuhei and Kurokawa held their guns and faced off, keeping nearly 20 meters between them. Well, I'll be damned. You're still alive? It was Kurokawa who broke the silence. He locked on to Shuhei with a mocking smile. You out for revenge for that Kotomi chick or something? Nice. Shut up. Just so you know, it ain't my fault she did it. It's cause she shot me that... I told you to shut up! Shuhei's emotions ran wild again. The composure he fought so hard to hold on to slipped away, leaving him with nothing but rage and bloodlust. Shuhei fired his gun as he ran. All of his shots missed Kurokawa, leaving holes in the nearby ground and tree branches. Dumbass! Kurokawa pointed his gun at Shuhei's forehead without budging an inch. The bullet flew straight towards Shuhei. Grazed his temple before flying behind him. That faint pain woke Shuhei up. Right then, he remembered what Yuna had told him. Basically, when you want to hit your targets, you have to make sure you stand completely still. Those were words from when she taught him how to shoot a gun in order to protect Hitomi, back when she was still alive. Remembering those words, Shuhei stood still. Kurokawa's second shot grazed his side. Suppressing his fear of the flying bullets, Shuhei raised his gun. He then set his sights on the torso, the easiest part of the body to hit, and fired. The bullet hit its target. Kurokawa recoiled in pain, taking 2 or 3 steps back. However, Kurokawa raised his gun again and tried to shoot Shuhei. Not on my watch! Shuhei then shot him a second time. Kurokawa collapsed, his body trembling. He dropped his gun, which landed on the ground. Shuhei ran over to Kurokawa and pointed his gun at his forehead. Kurokawa lay face up on the ground, staring up at Shuhei. His face warped in agony, but hatred burned strong in his eyes.
気分はどうだ、黒川。
How do you feel, Kurokawa? Kurokawa replied with as much strength as he could muster.
最悪だ。
Like shit.
てめえみてえな坊ちゃんにこの俺が土つけられるとはな。
I can't believe a pampered brat like you made me of all people eat dirt.
俺が坊ちゃん。
Me? A pampered brat? Perhaps he really did look that way in Kurokawa's eyes. Shuhei certainly didn't see himself that way, but didn't feel like correcting Kurokawa either. Instead, he pressed onwards.
まあいい。それより琴美に対して何か言うことはないのか。
Whatever. Anyway, do you have anything to say to Kotomi?
あの女に言うことだ。ねえよ、そんなもん。
To that chick? Fuck no.
ない。だと。
What? Shuhei ground his teeth. It was getting very difficult to resist pulling the trigger. Shuhei reined in his bloodlust and squeezed out his words one by one.
あいつはな、黒川。こんなところで命を落とすべきやつじゃなかったんだ。
No, Kurokawa. She wasn't supposed to die in a place like this.
誰より優しくて、いつだって穏やかで、こんなゲームの中でも他人を信じようとしていて。
She was kinder than anyone else, always gentle, and tried to trust others even in this game.
そんな奴が、お前のせいで死んだんだ。
She was such a wonderful person, and it's your fault she's dead.
琴美に謝る言葉はないのか、黒川！
Do you really not have an apology for her, Kurokawa?
ねえっつってんだろうが。
Are you fucking deaf? I said no! Kurokawa's angry roar echoed through the dark forest.
おめえ忘れたのかよ。あの女が俺を撃ったこと。
Did you forget? That bitch fucking shot me.
当たりどころが悪けりゃ俺は死んでた。違うか？
I could have died. She hit the wrong spot, right?
そのことについてうだうだ言うつもりはねえよ。俺もおめえを殺そうとしてたからな。
And I ain't gonna bitch and moan about it either, cause I tried to kill you too.
人を殺そうとする人間は殺されたって文句は言えねえ。
Those who try to kill others ain't got the right to complain about getting killed.
俺もおめえも琴美って女もそうだ。それがこの世のルールだろうが。
It's the same for you, me, and that Kotomi chick. That's the rule of this world, ain't it? What? Kurokawa's words left Shuhei speechless. The man talking there about life, death, and punishment seemed like a totally different person. Shuhei held his tongue.
俺が泣き言吐いて謝って命乞いでもすると思ったがよ。
What? Do you think I'd cry, say I was sorry, and beg for my life?
するかボケ。そんなことするくれえだったら死んだ方がマシだ。
Like hell, dumbass. I'd rather die than do all that shit.
つがいつまでうだうだ言ってやがんだ。殺すんならさっさと殺せや。
Anyway, how long are you gonna keep prowling on about this? If you're gonna kill me, get it over with already.
それともおめえには人を殺す度胸はねえか？
Or what? You ain't got the balls to kill someone?
さえずるな、黒川。
Quit mouthing off, Kurokawa.
だったら望み通り殺してやる。
Then I'll kill you just like you want! Those words, Shuhei pointed his gun at Kurokawa and fired every round he had. And when he ran out of bullets... What? Shuhei gasped in shock.
どうしたいの？
What's wrong?
俺を死んじゃいねえべ。
I ain't dead yet. Kurokawa was covered in blood, but he was still alive. He covered his face in his chest right before he was shot. Shuhei hadn't thought something like that would be enough to defend against bullets, but...
知らねえのかよ。有玉も骨だ筋だのに当たりゃ軌道が散ったそれるんだぜ。
Didn't you know? When lead bullets hit bones or muscles, they get knocked off course.
人間ってな案外頑丈なもんだろう。おい。
Humans are tougher than a lot of people think. You see? Blood poured endlessly from Kurokawa's arms. The wounded beast laughed in the pool of his own blood.
ほら、もう一丁来いや。さっさと弾詰め替えて俺を殺してみろや。
Come on, bring it on again. Fucking reload and try to kill me already.
てめえの望んだことなんだろうが。
Ain't that what you want? Shuhei was rendered speechless by that sight. The lust for revenge that controlled him had led him to this blood-soaked scene. There was nothing beautiful about it. It was purely gruesome and visceral. There were words no more eloquent to describe what murder truly was. Shuhei's index finger paused on the trigger. A chill ran down his spine, his stomach churned with nausea, and clammy sweat stuck to his whole body. Seeing the red stain spread out before him and Kurokawa writhing in agony, evoked an emotion in Shuhei. One he'd almost forgotten after Kotomi's death. Guilt. Shuhei lowered his gun, trying to keep his shaking fingers from making themselves known. He turned his back on Kurokawa, only for the latter to speak up. Huh? What's wrong? You ain't gonna kill me? Shut up. Pussing out? Come the fuck on.
違う。お前を一思いに死なせるのが惜しくなっただけだ。
No. It'd just be a waste to kill you quickly.
お前はそこで苦しんで死んでいけ。
You'll lie there and suffer a slow, painful death. Anguish beyond comparison welled in Shuhei's heart. Is this what I wanted? Shuhei walked away on unsteady feet as he thought that. Leaving the man responsible for his lover's death behind. About 20 minutes later, Masaki Kurokawa looked up to the skies, laying in a pool of his own blood. He then spoke up in a faint voice. That bastard. So he ain't coming back.
殺す覚悟もねえくせに復讐なんざするなってんだ。
How pathetic. Don't go for revenge if he ain't got the guts to kill someone. Kurokawa's heart raged with anger. He was irritated beyond belief they'd lost to someone so faint of heart. Shuhei had criticized him, but Kurokawa didn't even feel an ounce of shame for everything he'd done up to this point. He'd done his best to survive this game of life and death. Starting with Majima, who had once soundly defeated him, he used all his might in an attempt to get rid of dangerous players. Those actions were rooted in his instincts, and thus he saw them as no grounds for criticism. But he couldn't accept this outcome. He couldn't forgive not being shot to death by a man as weak as that. I won't allow it. The blood-stained beast growled with rage. His arms were completely out of commission, and he didn't feel like his legs would move, but he was still alive. Then he'd kill that bastard, even if he had to crawl. If he couldn't use his arms, then he'd crunch on his windpipe. Otherwise, he'd be yielding to Shuhei. That was the one thing that Kurokawa, who survived all this time by relying only on his own power, could not tolerate.
絶対あの野郎にも土を舐めさせてやる。
I'll make that son of a bitch eat dirt too. Mark my words. Kurokawa tried to lift his body up. At that moment, he caught a glimpse of a shadow out of the corner of his eye. Huh? Suspicious, Kurokawa tried to look at it, and he heard the sound of something cutting through the air. A hot pain ran through Kurokawa's chest. A river of blood greater than the blood that stained his arms poured out of his chest wound. Kurokawa caught a glimpse of the shadow in his rapidly darkening vision. What? His words were obstructed by the blood flooding his mouth. And with that, Kurokawa's consciousness was lost to eternal darkness. After leaving Kurokawa, Shuhei Fujita wandered aimlessly. His hardened body felt heavy as lead. The sight of Kurokawa flashed in his mind. With those wounds, he was likely beyond saving. Shuhei had killed Kurokawa. I did it. He said those words in an attempt to rid his heart of the anguish he felt. I killed him. I got revenge for Kotomi. So why? Why do I feel so empty? He'd finally accomplished his greatest wish, yet he didn't feel any sense of accomplishment. It wasn't like anyone would congratulate him for killing Kurokawa either. Kotomi wouldn't have died if it weren't for him. That's why I shot him. And yet... something that was smaller than Shuhei had been completely snuffed out. The indignation and hatred that sprung him onwards were nowhere to be found. They'd merely disappeared, leaving behind a gaping hole in their wake. That sensation was unpleasant beyond words. Damn it! Struck with anxiety that made sweat cling to his back, Shuhei punched a nearby tree. No, I don't regret it. There's no way I regret killing that guy. So, what the hell is this? He screamed and gazed into the air to try to rid himself of the feeling. But instead, all it did was make Shuhei feel even more empty.
くそ、何なんだよ。
Damn it! What the hell?
何なんだよ。
The hell is this?
子供、なんで俺を置いていなくなってしまったんだ。
Why did you leave me?
お前の声が聞きたい。
I want to hear your voice.
俺は
All the strength left his body. Shuhei's dropped gun landed on the ground with a dry sound. Shuhei fell to his knees and buried his face in his hands. Afterwards, the twilight forest echoed with Shuhei's sobs of grief. Alright, it's a bit early, but I think I'm actually going to end it here because I think it makes more sense to do upcoming events and starting with a new stream. So I'm just going to stop right here and then we'll take it off next time. So yeah, until then, I'll see you all later.